Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill. A much needed win for Michigan Saturday night against Michigan State, and a game that not only is important every single calendar year for us Michigan fans. Dill, we always say one of our best friends, Michigan State fan. This game's important for our well being for the next 365 days. But I think just as importantly, a really big win for this program in 2024. You saw some flashes of an offense that had an identity, some things that were working for this Michigan offense. Now, I know it's only 24 points, 265 total yards, but Dill, like for us Michigan fans who've watched just an anemic, for lack of better terms, pathetic offense the last couple of weeks, that second half and that last drive in the first half, you saw some things that you really liked from this Michigan offense. Want to get into some of those takeaways, but I think most importantly, like talk about some young talent that will be back on this Michigan team next year that you are starting to see play some better football. You know, at the end of the day, for us Michigan fans, that is what we're kind of grabbing onto. Is who are going to be the difference makers for us in 2025. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, Dale, massive shout out to the Michigan fans. It's no secret it's been a rocky year for the boys in 2024. Y'all know we're Michigan fans. We're going to talk Michigan whether they win or losing. The amount of support from the Michigan fans, even though it's been a difficult 2024 season, it's been amazing. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Most importantly, look, the Michigan fans have been vocal in the comment section over the last couple of weeks, as we have been as well. Would love to hear some takeaways from the Michigan fans. Dale, I'll give you the tee box here. I want to start on the offense, and I guess I'll start here. Davis Warren looked like he settled in the second half. That was the best quarterback play we've gotten from Michigan in the 2024 year so far. Shout out to Kirk Campbell. Like I still am frustrated with Kirk Campbell at times. You all know that. You saw him go to some different personnel, some different looks that clearly worked for Michigan. You saw him go to some trick plays that clearly worked. But I think most importantly, like you built an offense around your quarterback. And that's been our biggest frustration for Kirk Campbell is it just doesn't seem like you're building an offense around the what these quarterbacks can do. You saw that, especially in the second half, like a lot of short intermediate throws. Davis Warren's not going to be a quarterback that is pushing the ball down the field 15 times a football game, but in those short intermediate passing concepts, Davis Warren has the ability to be extremely accurate. Thought he was on Saturday night against Michigan State. There are some springboards that you can take away from this Michigan offense here.
Honestly, the big thing is this was the first game I thought the offensive line played really well in pass pro. And that to me, it's like,
Yeah.
again, we can harp on everyone else all we want. And the quarterback play has been really bad. I don't think the offensive coordinating position has been particularly great for Michigan either in terms of what they've designed. But this was like the first day that they legit could run something from the pocket and be relatively consistent. And I do think you kind of said it, like, you see Davis Warren can kind of be that guy. Again, does he have a ton of talent to like make all the throws in the world? Maybe not, but like in terms of just operating offense, being consistent, getting the ball out on time, inaccurately in that shorter kind of part of the field, he can be pretty effective. And you have guys like, again, Samaj Morgan, I thought played a pretty good game. He was able to create a bit of space. Colson Loveland, obviously still very good. Peyton O'Leary getting in the mix. So you saw some good things.
Sorry, I mean, like that route from O'Leary, like there's some flashes from some of the pass catches, and that's been a position group that I've been critical of. Outside of Colson Loveland, it just doesn't seem like wide receivers make plays down the field. You saw it, and again, I think that's something you can build on if you're a Michigan fan. The biggest question mark, I think it's pretty clear Michigan's going to go to the transfer portal for a quarterback unless we land. But the quarterback position, I feel like is going to get fixed in 2025. One of the things I want to see is we got to get some difference makers around the quarterback spot. O'Leary had a couple nice reps. You saw some good things from Tyler Morris. That was one of the positive takeaways I took. You saw some guys on the outside really step up. I want to circle back to pass protection. I don't think Michigan was elite moving bodies off the line of scrimmage. Michigan State was loading the box pretty consistently to stop this Michigan rushing attack. Dill, pass protection, 21 dropbacks, 1 quarterback hurry, no sacks. Evan Link had to come back in, and I've been very critical of Evan Link throughout the start of 2024. Andrew Gentry goes down, Evan Link comes in. Thought Evan Link played really, really good. Again, if there are some positive takeaways, there are some young guys that They might have not been ready to start 2024. They might be getting better. And you look at what has made Michigan the program it's been the last 3 years. Guys get better within the program. If there's a positive takeaway here, it's seemingly, and again, it's one game and it's coming off an ugly one against Illinois. You're seeing some guys play better football, as potentially get better as football players. That's what Michigan needs if we're going to get back to where we belong as a program here.
Yeah, it kind of just showed that again, if Michigan plays clean offense, like I don't, again, is it ever going to be an explosive offense, particularly fun to watch? No, but you can maybe get something where, again, you have the ball for part of the game. You can keep your defense kind of fresh. Saw them, I thought, get it going a little bit more in the second half. Like, because that first half, I thought they really struggled. But again, they were kind of in that mode where Michigan's defense has kind of been where they were on the field pretty much all game. The offense was really, really bad. But once you started to play a little bit more complimentary, I thought again, like you just see Michigan, like I don't think they'll be particularly dangerous. I don't think they'll be dangerous to a team like Oregon, although maybe if the defense really has a game, they perhaps could be. But like I think they should be like just a good, competent, like kind of 8-5 team if they're really playing clean football. It's just like they've been so choppy.
What I'm hoping for, if you're a Michigan fan, and again, this is what you're hoping for, is like we can be what we were in 2021 with Cade. Like Davis Warren is just as good of a quarterback that Cade is. Like he can keep you on the field. He can make some throws. That's kind of what you're hoping for. And if you can find that, have an offense that can stay on the field in this defense, which I want to talk about because I think the defense might have arguably underperformed tonight or last night. This team can still be dangerous, I think, but you want to see it a little bit more consistently. Obviously, a big test against Oregon next week.
And I will say, Alex Orji, like the way they designed that play around or the game around him,
agreed.
That actually I think can work. And I'm not like in love with the 2 quarterback system necessarily, but when you're Michigan and you're playing the way you are at that position, I kind of can get with it more. Like, I mean, everything they went to him was very effective. Like, and they were letting him run a little bit more downhill, I thought. And that was one thing. Like, I don't love seeing him go to the perimeter because he's not particularly like jittery or like, but he is good at getting downhill and being physical. I thought, again, they designed a really nice kind of sub package for him, and he was really, really effective for them. So again, you saw some good adjustments from Michigan's offensive
it's
staff.
Not a 2 quarterback system. It's Alex Orji is the gadget quarterback, and I think that's kind of what we've learned. That's what he is. That doesn't mean he can't play really good football. I mean, 6 carries, 64 yards. He gave Michigan some sparks, and I think the talking point I'll go in is it made sense when he came into the game. Like they had an idea of what they wanted it to look like. They executed what they wanted it to look like, but it finally made sense in terms of how we were getting him involved in this football game, where you go back to earlier in the season when they were kind of running in Alex Orji. Like there were a lot of situations where it's like that don't even make sense in terms of why we're using him. So again, you're seeing some strides, which I think is good. And again, we're going to be positive because we haven't had an opportunity to be positive about this football team in quite a long time. You can say we're sunshine pumpers, but Dale, at the end of the day, like if I get an opportunity to talk about Michigan, one, beating up on Lil Bro, but I think more importantly, just winning a football game, like the boys are going to do it. Going to the defensive side of the football, I thought Aiden Childs actually looked really good. Aiden Childs is going to be a really good quarterback for Michigan State. And there's 2 things I want to talk about. One, I thought Jayshon Barham played very well. I thought Jair Hill played really well. I think Jair Hill is going to be a really, really good quarterback for Michigan. I know he struggled against Washington. That kid's super talented. 2 things I want to criticize. One, we got to be better on 3rd downs. I mean, Michigan State 8 of 15, and some of those conversions were just so frustrating for us Michigan fans. And I think secondly, Dill, we had 19 quarterback hurries in that football game, but we still are letting quarterbacks get outside the pocket. We knew we were playing a quarterback that could hurt you like that, and it just seemed like we weren't really ready for what Aiden Childs could do as an athlete, getting outside the pocket. I think there are things to clean up for this Michigan defense.
Yeah, my biggest issue is frankly like they're fitting runs, and part of it started. And I don't like get on the defensive line a ton, but like, did it not feel like they were getting out of gaps, trying to swim, like not sitting in? And there were a lot of creases. I think that was the big frustrating thing for me. You didn't see teams run the ball on Michigan at all for the past like 3 years. It feels like. In yesterday, like again, just not being in your gaps, not playing accountability, or not playing good gap accountability as a bird's flying into my window. Like that type of thing. Like we haven't seen a ton of that for a while, but it felt like, again, there were just creases that we haven't seen, not being able to like just kind of reset the line of scrimmage and eat up space. That was to me the most probably disappointing thing, because you saw it rear its head on those third downs. I mean, giving up like a 3rd and 10 run conversion is like disgusting. And I feel like we saw a couple of them. So that is probably the most frustrating thing, was see a couple drives where Michigan State was able to just maintain like a steady ground and pound offense, because I really think that defense line is too talented for that.
That was the elite by you, keeping your composure with the bird flying against the window. I wouldn't have been able to do that. Secondly, totally agree. Two things I want to comment on. One, I wonder if that's almost by design. You know what I mean? Like Michigan just trying to do a little too much on defense, because you know you almost need a play from this Michigan
Yeah.
defense to win you a football game. Whereas like last year, hey, if we just play really damn solid defense, like our offense is going to be able to win us football games. Where this year it's like, hey, we got to get a little bit more aggressive than we're used to being because of the offensive struggles. I, I'm kind of with you on that. And I think secondly, Dill, I want to see more turnovers. Like this is a Michigan team that's outside the top 90 in turnovers. Why did we bring Wink Martindale in as a defensive coordinator to turn the football over? You saw one late in the second half, and that kind or late in the second quarter, excuse me, huge one. I want to see more of them. Like if this Michigan team can knock off a team like Oregon or can knock off a
Because
team
that is the path to being dangerous. You're kind
yeah,
of right. Like, you just know this offense isn't like, you can't play a not perfect game in a sense and beat like a team like Oregon or Ohio State, just because, again, like that offense's ceiling isn't that type of
yeah,
thing. But like if they can be really good on, yeah, like make a turn, like, and they're talented enough to do it. You look like, again, guys like Jair Hill playing really, really good football. I thought that defensive line is still great. Josiah Stewart is still arguably the best defensive end in the country. Like, there are those pieces, but you are right. Like, they probably need more high impact plays like they got against USC. Like that type of play, they'll need probably 1 or 2 of those a game in an Ohio State Oregon situation.
yeah. And with how elite this defensive line is, I don't see why it's. And I know turnovers are somewhat kind of luck oriented, but like Quentin Johnson had an opportunity. Like when we have opportunities to turn the football over and change games, you're right. If this Michigan team wants to be as dangerous as the Michigan fans want them to be, you got to start creating some of those turnovers. Though we're going to preview that Michigan Oregon game later today, so we'll get more into what we saw. We'll cut it out there. Michigan gets a win. Finally waking up on a Sunday morning with some positive vibes. Love it. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.